Congratulations, you finally have a haircut that matches your age. That note was pinned to my pillow the morning of my son's wedding. I reached up, smooth skin. My scalp burned, antiseptic still hanging in the air. I didn't scream. I opened my safe, pulled out an envelope holding paperwork for a $22 million transfer, and changed the entire game. Grab a cup of tea and get comfortable. This one is a long, satisfying burn. My name's Eleanor. I'm a real estate CEO. Dozens of buildings across the city carry my name on the permits, though nobody at the wedding would have guessed that from looking at me that morning. The woman in the marble bathroom mirror wasn't the one I recognized. My thick, silver hair, the one thing I'd always taken pride in, was gone. Just a slick, burning scalp. Tears surged. I forced them back down. They wanted me to fall apart on the day I should have stood tall as the groom's mother. I wasn't giving Vivian that. The note on the nightstand carried her perfume, the same scent I'd smelled on my future daughter-in-law 100 times. I didn't need to guess who did it. My safe was still open from the night before, where I'd carefully placed an envelope holding the paperwork to transfer $22 million to my son Nathan and his bride. My final gift, my bridge to keep him close. Now, when my fingers touched that envelope, it felt different, sharp, like a blade in my palm. I set it back in the safe and turned the dial. That gift was never leaving. I called Gerald, our family attorney of 20 years. Put the transfer on hold. Not a single dollar moves. Tonight, after the reception, I want you at my house. We're rewriting the entire will. Is something wrong? He asked. Just one thing, I said. I finally woke up. Now, here's how I got there. I became a widow at 32. My husband Edward died suddenly, a heart attack on the highway, and I was left with a 12-year-old son and a promise I made myself in the dark that night. He would never know hunger or fear. I kept that vow for 3 decades. Dawn runs between job sites, nights reading contracts until my eyes blurred. First a duplex, then a building, then an entire real estate footprint built brick by brick, sleepless night by sleepless night. Nathan saw the results, never the process. I raised him like a prince and forgot to teach the prince how to hold a sword. At 25, Mom, I want my own condo. You'll cover the down payment, right? At 30, with Vivian standing beside him, we want to do Europe nice and luxe. You'll take care of it, right? Not a request, an order with a smile. I'd spoiled him, thinking I was making up for the father he lost too young. I was really teaching him to treat a mother's love like an endless bank account. Vivian made it worse. From day one, I felt the chill behind her charm. At family dinners, Mrs. Whitfield, don't you think that color ages you? Maybe try something fresher. Nathan just laughed along like a shadow. I sat with my salad and kept the peace, afraid of the one thing that could actually hurt me, losing my son. So I planned the wedding gift, $22 million, my last key, my hope of staying connected to him, of showing Vivian I wasn't an obstacle. This morning shattered that illusion completely. I called Rosa, my hairstylist of 20 years. I need you right now. Bring the best wig you have. No one can know. She didn't pry. She just came. While I waited, I sat by the window watching the first snow settle on the yard. Memories crashed in, becoming a widow at 32, the sleepless years, the vow I'd kept. All of it, standing now to fall into the hands of a woman who saw me as disposable. When Rosa saw my head, she covered her mouth. I cut off her pity with a tight smile. Don't ask. Just help me stand tall today. An hour later, the woman in the mirror had her poise back, the razor gaze my business rivals used to respect. I thanked Rosa, slipped a thick envelope into her hand, and walked her out. Alone again, I tucked a small voice recorder into my purse. My instincts told me that today, words without proof would save no one. 3 hours until the ceremony. The battle had started the second my hand touched my bare scalp, but I would decide the ending. Now, here's where it gets interesting. I sat in a cold pew before the ceremony, watching candles being lit, when I heard my son's voice low and urgent around a stone column. He was on the phone. "Tessa, no, don't show up here now. Just wait until after the ceremony." Tessa Reyes, his assistant. I'd always thought she was just dedicated. "After I get that money from my mother, everything will change. We won't have to hide anymore. Just be patient a little longer." I let the hymnal fall into my lap, hands shaking. $22 million, once the work of my lifetime, was about to become his ticket to run off with his mistress while he was still marrying someone else. "You know how my mother is," he continued. "She always wants to please me. As soon as she signs this afternoon, we'll have it all. A fresh start. Freedom." My son, the boy who once cried into a pillow for his mother, now saw me as a wallet. I slipped back to my pew before he noticed me. In my purse, the recorder's red light glowed quietly, storing every word. But I had a feeling Vivian wasn't innocent either. I made my way toward the bridal room, where the door sat half open, laughter spilling out. "You know what?" Vivian's voice high and confident. "In a few hours, I'll have the entire fortune in my hands. 22 million, and by law, I get half. Nathan's so naive, he has no idea." Laughter. "And after that, I'm filing for divorce. I've already contacted an attorney." A bridesmaid giggled. "What about the mother-in-law? She's a handful." Vivian's voice dropped, cold as ice. "Once the money's in, I'll push Nathan to put her in a high-end nursing home, park her there. Once she's out of the house and the company, she won't have a say in anything." The room erupted in laughter. I stood frozen, crushing the recorder in my purse. Not from fear, from a firestorm burning away the weakness of the morning. I eased away without a sound. Life had taught me enough. Big battles aren't won by hot anger. They're won by patience. The ceremony proceeded exactly as planned, beautiful and hollow. I watched my son promise fidelity while hours earlier he'd whispered to another woman. I watched Vivian promise devotion while planning her exit before the honeymoon even ended. I clapped when everyone clapped, smiled when everyone smiled. Inside, every round of applause only confirmed the whole thing was an empty show. At the reception, under warm chandelier light, the MC called my name. "And now, please welcome Eleanor, the groom's mother, to share a few words." I stood, lifted my glass. For 33 years, I've lived by a promise. Since my husband passed, I swore I would protect Nathan with everything I had. Soft murmurs of approval. "And today, I plan to give my son and his new wife a substantial gift, $22 million, the savings of my lifetime." Gasps. Nathan squeezed Vivian's hand, forcing a smile. Vivian's eyes lit. "But there's something life has taught me," I continued. "Not every sacrifice is valued, and not everyone deserves the gift you give." I pulled the recorder from my purse and set it on the table. The red light blinked on. Quick pause. "If you'd found what I found that morning, would you have confronted them privately or done exactly what I was about to do, in front of everyone? Tell me in the comments." I pressed play. My son's voice filled the silence. "After I get that money from my mother, everything will change. We won't have to hide anymore." Nathan blanched. "Mom, this is a misunderstanding." "Then where did these words come from? Whose mouth?" I played the second clip. The room erupted like a kicked beehive. I turned to Vivian. "And you have something to explain, too." I held up the note from my pillow. "You plan to erase me from this celebration with a cheap, degrading stunt." "That's not mine," she snapped. "You're making this up." "Really? Then why did you brag in the bridal room this afternoon that you'd divorce him in a few months and take half? I heard everything. I have witnesses if needed." The room froze. Phones came out, recording. Vivian's face went white. I raised my glass one final time. "So I'm canceling the $22 million gift. Neither of you deserves a penny of the money I earned with blood and tears. The greatest wedding gift I can give today is the truth. And the truth is this: greed and betrayal never win." I set the glass down and walked out, steady and unhurried. Nathan caught up with me in the lobby, panic replacing his polish. Mom, please, it was just a test. I never meant. I've heard enough, Nathan. There's no misunderstanding. Don't turn betrayal into a joke. I gave my whole life for you, and this is how you repay me? He dropped to his knees. I turned and walked away. Vivian burst out next, mascara streaking, shrieking that I'd ruined her wedding. I only told the truth, I told her calmly. You should thank me for showing everyone your real face sooner. An older guest held her back as she lunged. Her own parents stood frozen at the door, refusing to go to her, eyes full of disappointment. The next morning, I called my attorney and rewrote everything. Nathan was cut from the will entirely. The trust I'd set up for him, terminated. Every dollar redirected to a charity fund supporting widows and single mothers building their own businesses, people who actually understood the value of money. I opened the safe, moved my savings into a new cabinet, and labeled it simply Freedom Fund. In the weeks that followed, I found a small painting class near the beach, something I'd wanted to do since I was 18, buried for decades under the weight of making a living. I learned to paint seascapes with a woman named Joanne as my teacher, and made a quiet friend named Walter, a retired engineer who'd lost his wife and found painting the same way I had. By accident, out of necessity, and then out of joy. Nathan came by once, months later, hollowed out. Vivian gone, his investments failed, friends scattered. He didn't ask for money, he asked for forgiveness. Forgiveness doesn't mean things go back to the way they were, I told him. It's for my peace, not so you can lean on me again. He cried. I didn't waver. You're my son. That will never change. But I'm not your life raft anymore. If you want to start over, you stand up on your own. He left quietly. The door didn't close forever, but it only opens now for the man who takes responsibility, not the boy who makes demands. I still paint every morning. My work hangs in a small seaside shop now, not for the money, but to prove that age doesn't cage a creative spirit. I found something at 65 I never expected. A second beginning, built entirely on my own terms. If you've ever given everything to people who saw your love as leverage, tell me your story in the comments. And if this reminded you it's never too late to reclaim your own life, subscribe. There's more coming.